Hey there, fellas. What's going on? Happy Monday morning to you. Hopefully you're doing well, coming off a weekend as you get back, settle back on into the work week. Boy, we coming off a fantastic weekend in terms of the sports we were able to watch. Let's just kick off the show with recapping the biggest and best of them all, which was obviously the NFL, taking center stage as the NFL playoffs kicked off. It all started off with the Seahawks and the 49ers. Good, close game up until a fumble. It looked like the Seahawks were maybe even going to cover. The plus 10 spread number was out there. But, fumble changed everything. Geno Smith gives it up. And then they just couldn't hang after that. Once the momentum had turned the tide in favor of the home team and the 49ers, that was all she wrote. And then you kind of saw, I think, what people obviously thought all along. Obviously, the speed of the players. Deebo Samuel running away there with that touchdown. Overall, just the strength of the defense and the number one defense, generally speaking, throughout much of the year. So, good game. It kicked off the playoffs good. It looked, obviously, that score looked lopsided, but that game, the final score wasn't quite fair, to just how damn competitive and how the Seahawks were right up in there until the moment of that fumble happened. So, got a good one there to go ahead and kick off the playoffs. And then Saturday night there between the Chargers and the Jaguars, we obviously took a tough beat holding on to the Jaguars Chargers money line. Anybody else who had Chargers money line took a relatively tough beat, up 27-0. Trevor Lawrence just throwing interceptions left and right. Doug Peterson, not running the ball, just putting the hands in Trevor Lawrence and continuously putting the hands in Trevor Lawrence. I don't know about you guys, but going into halftime, I told my wife I felt a little sick. It just the Jaguars moved the ball really easy there to end that half and to get that touchdown and to go into halftime there with a little bit of belief. And then kind of much like the 49ers, with the fumble, and they were able to get that momentum and really, carry it out through the end of the game. That touchdown there before halftime gave the Jaguars belief and gave them the momentum, and they just carried it all through the second half and just kept putting it on the Chargers and the comeback, and you felt it. I mean, you felt it sitting there watching that game that the Chargers couldn't do anything. People want to pile on Brandon Staley. I hear you. What are they doing up 27-0? You guys see the stat up 27-0? The rest of the game after that point, they called 25 passes and only 8 rushes. There's an opportunity there where you got to start running the ball and bleed some clock. I mean, you're throwing the balls, you're getting incompletes, the clock's stopping. You got to start mixing in some runs, even if you're not getting points, because you weren't getting points. But even if you're not getting points, at least you're able to take valuable time off of the clock, multiple minutes using the run game. So, but I mean, just credit the Jaguars though. Just an unbelievable comeback again. Burned. We suffer a tough beat by the third ever biggest ever playoff comeback, and obviously still sour about that one. That was kind of swung the momentum in terms of the week, in terms of whether it was going to be a win-loss or a profit. When you look back at it and you do the week recap, it's like you can put a big circle on that one and say, man, if we don't blow a 27-point lead there for the Chargers, we turn a profit this week. So, all right, well, that was Saturday's game. Then Sunday's game, Bills-Dolphins, that was anything but easy. I mean, Dolphins more than in it. They get behind early, but yeah, it's tough. You're on the road. You're going in a hostile environment. To go down 17-0, not ideal, but not the end of the world. Just start chipping away, kind of like the Jaguars. And they start chipping away. They come back. They take the first lead to open up the third quarter. And then just continue to hang around. And then the Bills, I mean, just fortunate. But thankfully, you play a bad game up against that opponent, and you're able to walk away with the win. Obviously, a better quarterback, and hell, even if Tua's playing, you're likely going to go ahead and get beat. So we got to clean it up. Obviously, against the Bengals, can't go in there, can't have the Josh Allen turnovers. Got the defense tighten up just a little bit. You're going to be in trouble. I mean, we all saw that Monday night game before it got suspended there with DeMar Hamlin. Bengals looked really good on those 2 drives. Obviously, they got the touchdown on the one, and then the one when that ended the game. They were moving the ball really easily against that Bills defense. So they're definitely going to need to put out a better performance. But that was an absolutely fantastic game. Thought that one may come down to overtime. Credit Mike McDaniels. Just that team is obviously making moves. I didn't really like the firing there of Brian Flores last season. They bring in McDaniels, and it looks like he's done nothing but continuing to make improvements on that team. So Dolphins will certainly be a force, I think, going forward. Then the next game, Vikings-Giants. We were on the Giants. That's going to end up being whether the Buccaneers win tonight or not, because the Jaguars, keep in mind, they were only plus 2.5 points, with the Vikings being at plus 3. That's going to be the biggest upset of the weekend, regardless of what happens tonight. And I talked about the Giants here. I talked about it on TikTok Live. Like the Giants, didn't have the stones to pull the money line, but if I think a team's going to win and you're going to give me 3 points, I'll gladly take the 3 points. And the Giants look good. They are a great defense. They couldn't stop Daniel Jones. They could not stop the Jones. And I don't know how many times I watched that game, and maybe it's because the Giants, took the Buffalo Bills assistant GM and made him their GM. Maybe it's because they took our offensive coordinator and Brian Daboll and made him their head coach. Maybe it's because they got Isaiah Hodgins, and you can go through that roster. There's other Bills players. But Daniel Jones looks like Josh Allen. I mean, not as good as a passer. He still needs to develop, but he's another just big, strong kid who's got some wheels on him. He looks like a Josh Allen, just not quite good as a passer. They're going to go into Philadelphia next week and have all the belief that they can do it, and I believe they can do it too. Good, strong running game there with Barkley and Jones, and he was accurate as hell yesterday with that football. So, and then Kirk Cousins on fourth down, throwing a check down. Oh man, he's gonna. He probably slept like shit last night. That probably gave him some nightmares. Plethora of plays throughout that game you can obviously point to, but that play, you did not give your team a chance doing a check down right there on fourth down. So, but congratulations to the Giants. Again, they're gonna be a force to reckon with. I think going into Philly. Look at that line. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'll probably be taking Giants plus points again. And another divisional game, which you generally get, close divisional games. You saw it, Bills, Dolphins, Seahawks, 49ers kind of get away from them there, but then you saw it again there in the nightcap between the Ravens and the Bengals. And that was a game where I was looking at my wife, and we didn't have any skin in that game, obviously, fellas, but I was like, the Ravens are going to win that game. And then, obviously, the play. Right, the play. Huntley thinks he can stick the ball over the plane. He can't quite get there. Short by a good little bit, half a yard or so. They punch it out, scoop and score, and run it back. And that was the game. That's another game, though, is probably, Bengals, just like the Bills are fortunate that they went against Skylar Thompson, backup quarterback. I think the Bengals are lucky they didn't have to go up against Lamar Jackson, because Lamar Jackson's a better runner than Huntley, a better passer than Huntley. Bengals are just as probably equally as fortunate as the Buffalo Bills sitting here on Monday morning that, okay, we didn't play our best football. We got lucky, but we both advanced and we move on to the next round. So, and that's all it is in the playoffs, right? You guys know I watch all the press conferences, or at least from the Buffalo Bills standpoint, and they talked about it all week. Just get one more point. Ugly, pretty, I don't give a shit. Just get one more point than the opponent. And obviously that's what the Bills and the Bengals were able to do. But an unbelievable, fantastic weekend. Again, even though that 49ers Seahawks score-wise may have looked like it was a little bit of a blowout, I thought all the games were absolutely fantastic. Great nail-biters, twists and turns, and all of them. Just what you would want when you get to playoff caliber teams, championship caliber teams. So fantastic. Let's see if we can get another humdinger tonight. That would be good. And hopefully those Buccaneers can obviously cover the 3 points for us as well. So fantastic weekend. And obviously then you mix in, I'm sure you guys watched your college basketball, Australian Open. Just a fantastic weekend. I was actually yesterday, as soon as 6 o'clock hit, my wife was like, what are you doing with the tablet? You guys should have seen me. I had NFL on TV. I'm watching US Open. I watched Australian Open. I was watching Australian Open until about 12:20 in the morning. Eventually I had to just give up and get some amount of sleep. So, wow, what a good weekend in sports, fellas. An absolutely good week. Let's see how the week unfolded in terms of a win, profits. And then, we've obviously got a good amount of bets to go ahead and give you guys today. So throw up the week recap right there. We don't get to ring the cash register, unfortunately. We went 23 and 28 and down 1.61 units. And now year-to-date, down 10.33 units. It certainly looks bad. I would say it's not as bad as it looks. If this was, 2 weeks in March, you wouldn't really bat an eye. It looks a little worse just because it's the first 2 opening weeks of a new year. And then remember, we come off 4 straight weeks of profit, to end 2022. So not the start we want, but plenty of time to go ahead and turn that sucker around. And then as you can see right there, we're tracking how much arbitrage money we make throughout the year. Remember, this is free money, right? Just take a wager, bet both sides, and guarantee yourself some free money. We're now up to $50.90 so far in 2023 that we've made of free money. What were some of those good wins last week? How about our only multi-unit play of the week was a 5-unit banger with Connor McDavid up against those Ducks. Easy cash right there. We needed 4 shots on target. He doubled that and got us 8 shots on target. Julius Randle under 26.5 points. He came through for us right there. A little sweaty, but came through for us. Love to see that right there. In that same night on Monday, Vubic over 10.5 rebounds. That was certainly a popular play I saw throughout that day, and he came through for everybody in America, cashing over 10.5 rebounds. What about Claxton? Remember, this is our guy, over 2.5 blocks and steals. We parlayed him with the Lightning money line and got a good plus money cash. I did mention on Friday's show that whenever the Nets play over the weekend, just to go ahead and put them in a parlay piece. You're probably wondering why we did not play that on Sunday. I just forgot. I mean, quite frankly, I forgot. I was just so wrapped up in, awesome NFL Saturday, looking forward to the Bills game on Sunday. I just didn't even spend 1 second on the NBA yesterday. If you're wondering, yeah, he went over 2.5 blocks and steals in Sunday's game. So that makes it 17 in a row, and now 22 of 23 games he's had over 2.5 blocks and steals. Hopefully, even though I forgot to tweet out a play for Claxton, hopefully you guys dropped him in some kind of parlay of some kind, because that is the bona fide parlay piece. Don't know when the Nets play, but we won't make that same mistake of forgetting to do that, so we'll have to play that this week. What about in soccer? Boy, we got Fulham and Chelsea and Aston Villa and Leeds, both of those games at plus money. Plus money at both teams to score at over 2.5. Those are the two of the three best teams in the Premier League, and Fulham and Leeds. Their games being both teams to score and over 2.5. So to get those at plus money, those were an absolutely head scratcher, but we got two great cashes right there. Devils and Ducks on the same game parlay. Love to see that one right there. Jack Hughes got a goal. Dougie Hamilton got a goal. And the Devils covered the minus 2.5 alternate puck line right there to give us a good cash. We also, Australian Open started off last night. I mentioned I was glued to the television watching that. I just like tennis. My wife played tennis in high school at a varsity level, so she was sitting there right there with me watching it. Just a sport that we both like. So while the recap says Australian Open was profitable, let's throw up here on the other side, just the Australian Open, just so you guys can see. We are obviously one day into the tournament. We went 6-2 yesterday and plus 3.2 units. So love to see the Australian Open obviously getting off to a nice start. I know we stumbled going into the Open. I'd only given out 2 tennis bets so far this year. We went 0-2, but how many times have I mentioned we really go heavy on the majors because you can get you know what you're going to expect, and the tournaments leading up to the majors, it's a little unpredictable. You don't know maybe what the things maybe these guys are working on. So that's why we don't go crazy throughout the entire tennis season. But you've been around here following me for a couple of years. We dive right on into the majors and we jump into those suckers pretty heavy, and especially earlier on, right? No big surprise. Obviously, first rounds with the draws, you get favorites up against slappies, and you can take advantage of those situations. So I've got a plethora of Australian Open bets to give you. Just because we went 6-2 yesterday doesn't guarantee any success today, but I feel good about the bets we'll share with you guys here in a little bit. So I look forward to having another nice night at the Australian Open. And me personally, I'll be watching Monday Night Football, and I'll be watching the Australian Open certainly as well. What about that Bills-Dolphins same game parlay? Ryan said on Friday's show he wanted me to cook up a parlay for that Bills game. I got you, man. Yeah, we cooked one up right there and had us a nice little banger of a day right there. Dawson Knox and James Cook, those were the first 2 touchdown scores of the entire game. So you hit that, and you already had one of your 2 interceptions in the bag. I started dancing. I started dancing around the first quarter that, holy shit, this same game parlay is actually going to hit. The second interception for Skylar Thompson came a little bit late. What was that, fourth? Oh, that was that dumb fourth quarter. They were backed up in their own area. It was like 3rd and, was it 15 or 3rd and 20? It was 3rd and a mile. And McDaniels calls up. I thought for sure they were just going to run it and punt it and just, want to get out of that situation. McDaniels called up a passing play and he kind of threw in a double coverage. That was not a good play. I thought that was a terrible play call there by McDaniels. Thought he had a great game calling plays. I thought it was a bad spot there for the quarterback. So anyways, great for us. Got us our second interception. And the Bills over 3.5 touchdowns rounded out that parlay. So just a fantastic one right there. And then our last notable win was, of course, that Giants +3. Thought they were going to win the game. Okay, give me the 3 points, and we'll gladly go ahead and get a win right there. What were some of those tough losses? Well, we lose money on the week. You can really look at Tuesday, obviously the over 6 stretch, and normally when I do this recap, obviously I like to say what happened on Tuesday. You guys remember when I sent out the tweet on Tuesday? I didn't even put out the 6 bets because that was the night where Jared Allen and the whole no mention of him, anything pregame, sickness, illness, no mention. Then he only goes 6. I was so pissed. I really don't even recall what the 6 bets were sitting right here. I just know Jared Allen takes the cake of my frustration. So, and then to go along with that 0-6 Tuesday, if you take the last bet on Monday and then the first 5 bets on Wednesday, we went through an 0-12 stretch. 0-12 stretch. Brutal. I mean, to go 0-12 and only lose, call it a unit and a half, we had great damage control, I would say, based on an 0-12 stretch. And then those 5 losses on Wednesday, that was the Man City debacle against Southampton. That's when PSG, we had a win, and then VAR took it away from us. That's soccer. Sometimes it goes like that. So, and then, Jared Allen, SGA, we under his prop total. Tough loss right there because that point total dropped a point in our favor in terms of the public agreeing with us and driving that under down. Just didn't quite go our way. Spurs, Warriors, under. Just that's like the definition of why I hate the NBA, right? Just no defense in all 4 quarters. And you could even have 61 points in every quarter, and still be fine. Just no goddamn defense played in that game. So annoying right there. Chargers on the money line again. That takes the cake. Jared Allen takes the cake just because I think the Cavs did us dirty. But Chargers right there, second worst beat of the entire week. And then Hasty over 10.5 rushing yards. Not a goddamn carry all game. Etienne got every single carry. I think I was watching the game because every time Hasty came on the field, I was like, okay, can he run the ball? Hell, he may have only been on the field for 5 snaps, 7, no more than 10. Yeah, it was an Etienne day, and obviously you see why. I mean, he's a good back. I mean, we knew he was obviously a good back going into that game, but man, they had no desire to run Hasty whatsoever in that game, and they really didn't run all that much. I mean, you saw they were pass happy, even interception. Doug's like, I don't give a shit that this team can't stop the run and has a good pass defense. We're going to throw the ball on these suckers, and they figured it out in that second half and obviously got them back to a win. So, all right, well, that's how last week unfolded. Hopefully maybe you guys were able to turn a little bit of profit, but no profit was had on here. We are on Sundays. You guys know on Twitter I break out the recap every single day. Twitter obviously has a character limitation. I reached the limitation in putting together that week recap. We're taking $14 of arbitrage money into this week. It was on Sunday's recap, so it's there and it's transparent. Just couldn't fit it in on the week recap. So we are taking $14 of arbitrage money from last week, and we're going to go ahead and roll that on into this week, and we'll spend $10 of that tonight because obviously DraftKings has another NFL no sweat promo. We've also got a couple free bets. Remember, Saturday's no NFL no sweat bet was Hasty. It obviously lost. We earned a $10 free bet. And then we also earned $11.21 free bet over on Bet Rivers. We put together a 4-legged parlay. We missed all but 1 leg, but we get a free bet back. So that's how that rolls. So, all right, what do you guys talk about in the comment section? You guys like NFL weekend? What went on right there? Brian, happy birthday. I was going to give you a shout out here in a little bit. Your comment jumped the gun a little bit right there. So happy birthday, my man. Happy birthday. I'll cook you up a little parlay, and hopefully I'll send it to you on Twitter, and hopefully I can cash. And if it cashes, I'll send it your way. So happy birthday, Brian. Happy birthday. Your Charger. Yeah. It's just you can't lose. You're up 27. Can we mix in some runs? Or I mean, just everybody's screaming for that coach to be fired. He's not going to be fired. I don't believe he'll be fired. Morning, Tim. Morning, my man. Are you the tennis squirrel? Everybody knows I do good in majors. You know that, Tyler. You've been around here for a good long time. Everybody knows I step up at the majors while playing it relatively low key when it's off majors. I enjoy tennis. Like I said, my wife played it, so I enjoy it. Let's go ahead and get to the bets first. Let's do NFL first, and then we'll get to those tennis bets. We're just going to go ahead and take Bucs +3. Not going to add anything to it. Maybe the reason I'm not going to add to it is because we've got this no sweat bet, and I'm going to cook up a same game parlay. But that being said, I just like the Bucs to probably win the game. The line's moved in our favor. It's +2.5. I'm just going to roll with that singular bet right there. In terms of how are we going to use this no sweat bet? Well, of course, we talked about having $14 of arbitrage money, so this is a free roll. This is a free roll. We'll use $10 of that. We're going to go ahead and use, I'll talk about these legs. Maybe I'll make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Take away this no sweat thing. Nobody really cares about that. Everybody knows about that, just so it's a little bit easier. I'll be talking about these legs right here. Everybody wants to talk about this Tampa Bay rush defense. It's good. It's good, but it still gives up 98 yards a game. So I think Elliott will have himself a nice day. Maybe he can get 54.5 rushing yards. Dalton Schultz. Well, the Buccaneers can't defend the tight end position. That is one of their weaknesses, is defending that tight end. So we'll go ahead and take Dalton Schultz to have himself a pretty nice night, over 44.5 receiving yards. On the flip side, the Cowboys are actually good at not only are the Cowboys good at defending the tight end position, Cade Otton here, go look at his game log. It's tailed off the last 3 weeks dramatically. And what has happened the last 3 weeks? That's been the uptick of Mike Evans and the Tom Brady chemistry, and they've really hit their stride, which guided them into making the playoffs. So you get a good team against defending the tight end position. This dude's production's kind of going down over the course of the last 3 weeks. So I'll go ahead and roll with his under on his receiving prop. Tom Brady, I'm just going to think that he can throw an interception tonight. I'm going to think Dak Prescott can throw an interception tonight. And then fumble loss. That one, you guys may think, what are we doing just tossing that in there? Well, the Cowboys have the number one defense in forced fumbles. Forced fumbles per game. They average 1 per game. And not only that, the Buccaneers, I closed the tank. They come in at 6. They average 0.7 fumbles per game. And in their last 3, they average 1 per game. And in their last game, they got 1 fumble, or they had a fumble, I should say. So I'm going to put it in there and roll. I mean, it's a free roll, right? If it loses, we don't really lose any money. It's free money anyways. And with this Cowboys defense forcing a fumble every game, and the Buccaneers generally coughing one up every game, so I actually think it's going to be a little bit of turnovers tonight. So maybe I probably think it's going to be low scoring. If you're thinking like, hey, I would like another bet for tonight, you can see the player props I put together. So I think that kind of, even though I don't have more of an official play to go with Bucs +3, the same game parlay kind of gives you an idea of how I think the game will unfold from a player prop perspective. And then also I kind of lean the under, right? I've got a fair number of turnovers happening in this game. So I do kind of like the under in tonight's game as well. So that's how we'll roll with the sweat-free promo right there. Let's go ahead and throw up those tennis bets, and then we'll jump back onto the comment section. Hopefully we can stay hot again. Yesterday's 6-2 doesn't guarantee shit today. I've got it broken out with the top line being the women's draw. I'm trying to make it a little bit easier for you guys. The top line there is the women's draw. It's a 3-legged money parlay. And then those next, 6 or 7 bets right there are all in the men's draw. Isner on the money line, Vukic on the money line, Evans to win 3-0. This Evans one guy, guys know I don't really value matters, but there are some people who it is all about value, and those are what you call your plus EV bettors, and that's all they gravitate to. If you got a friend out there that's a plus EV bettor, this bet at -120 over on FanDuel is -205 on DraftKings. When I price shopped, I like, it was one of those ones where you rub your eyes, you do a double take, you're just not believing what you're seeing. It's -120 on FanDuel for Evans to win 3-0, where it's -205 on DraftKings. I think we call it FanDuel sleeping. So jump on that one, of course. And obviously, I think you should jump on the other ones. Then we got a 2-legged money parlay, 2-legged money line parlay, 2 guys that I think can win 3-0. I think both of these guys here, and Popperin and however you pronounce this South American guy's name, I think both of them there can win 3-0. But if on the off chance they both win 3-1, I want to go ahead and get rewarded for that. So we'll do -1.5 on the sets. -1.5 on the sets. And then I know yesterday we were heavy on the overs. Obviously, part of that 6-2 record was hitting 5 overs. I don't force overs. If they're not there to play, we don't play it. But I think this is the best over, and I'm expecting this one to go 5 sets for sure. So if I expect the match to go 5 sets, it's a no-brainer to go ahead and pull the trigger on over. If it goes 4 sets, we can still get a cash. It could still happen. I mean, we got some overs yesterday to hit, and they only went 4 sets. But I'm going to be floored if it doesn't go 4 sets, and a touch surprised if it even doesn't go 5 sets. So we'll go ahead and bet the over right there between those guys at over 37.5. So that's how we'll do it, fellas. All right, let's jump in this comment section. So that's all we're going to roll with this evening. If you're asking about NBA, if you're sitting there, and I haven't quite looked at the comment section, if you're wondering maybe if we're going to have any NBAs, this is the plan for the NBA. Well, first of all, you guys have kind of heard me before. Like, I don't know if you guys follow guys and they're giving out tennis and football and baseball. I'm like, I don't know how the F you have time for all this. So quite frankly, I haven't even stared at NBA for 1 second yet because Obviously, in the opening round of the Australian Open, there's a lot of matches, and not only does it take a lot of time to do the research, but now you got to take the research of what you like, and now you got to go price shop it across 6 different sports books, and that also takes a fair amount of time as well. So, haven't had a chance to look at the NBA. My thought with the NBA is we've got 9 units in play or so. I'm only going to research over-unders and spread tonight in the NBA. I'm going to finish this show, go hit the gym like I always do, and then I will look at over-unders and spreads. If there's any over-unders and spreads I like, we'll, of course, buy them and tweet them out. And I'm not going to do player props. It just gets into, again, like how does somebody have time to do all the things? I'm just going to do over-unders and spreads. So that's my thinking tonight in the NBA, and we'll see if there's an over-under that we like. Of course, we'll add it to the card, even though we've got 9 units in play. If the sports books are giving us a discrepancy based on my numbers, we'll go ahead and bet it and add it to the card. So that's what we're at right there. Does Jackson leave the Ravens? Nah, they're gonna pay him. They'll pay Lamar Jackson. They'll pay the man. I think they'll pay him, Brian. I think they'll get it done. You're liking Brady over 0.5 rushing yards on MGM. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I guess my only thing I would add in with that, Tyler, is I think the Bucs will win the game. You got to then worry about late game kneel situations where if he takes a knee, let's say he takes 3 knees, now you're losing 2 yards per knee, and that's 6 yards. But I agree with what your logic. Just late game kneels could potentially bite you in the ass. But if you're sitting there and you're saying, well, I disagree with you, I think the Cowboys will win the game, and I'm not worried about late game kneels, then I agree with your logic, and I think that's sound stuff right there, Tyler. Jensen is back. Oh, yeah, the center. Yeah, I saw Rappaport sent that tweet out. Obviously he's making his season debut. He's one of the good centers in the game. He'll help out. But, yeah, I did see that. Yeah, he's going to be back. Season debuts in the playoffs. That's some wild stuff right there. All right, fellas. I don't see any more comments. We will only be adding NBA. That'll certainly be the only thing. And, again, it'll only be over-unders and spreads are the only thing I'm interested in researching. Otherwise, I'll just sit back, kind of wait till tonight. There were no soccer games this afternoon. I mean, there were some soccer games, but nothing that obviously I'm interested in betting. And there were only 3 or 4. Anyway, if they were in the Premier League, I would look in on more heavily, but there is not even a Premier League, so no real interest on my part. So yeah, we'll just look to come nighttime. Just sit back, kind of enjoy our afternoon, and then settle on into Cowboys Bucs and see if they can't close out an amazing wild card round. And then at the same time, personally myself, I'm going to have the laptop streaming the Australian Open, and I'll be keeping an eye on our tennis bets as well. So. Okay, then I think your Brady play. I think your Brady. Can we both hit it, Tyler? Can you hit your Cowboys money line, and I go ahead and hit my Bucs +3? Let's get a nice 1 or 2 point win there for the Cowboys. I'm completely fine with that. And if you think that, then like I said, I agree with what your logic is. I mean, at +175, I think it's worth the stab at +175. So I like what you're thinking right there. So. All right, fellas, that's how we're going to do it. So we're going to go ahead and close out this Monday show. Again, man, thank you guys for kicking off another day, kicking off another week here of winning bets. We'll look to turn a little profit this week. This is going to be the week. This is going to be the week to go ahead and get it done. And again, hope you guys had a good weekend as well. So, all right, fellas, go enjoy your day and come on back tomorrow. We'll keep cranking out tennis open or Australian Open bets. And there are midweek soccer games that I'm certainly interested in. I did already look at them, so didn't have any afternoon action today, but we'll have some afternoon action as this week progresses. So, all right, fellas, appreciate it. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.